Everyone is worrying that AI is coming for their jobs, but almost nobody is talking about what it feels like from the employer's side. And that's the part that actually matters because they're the ones doing the hiring. Because right now, AI has made the cost of applying for a job basically zero. Anyone can spam hundreds of applications with AI written resumes, perfect cover letters, fake writing samples, and even prep for interviews in minutes. The floodgates are open. So what does that mean for you? It means that the old rules are dead. The hiring game has completely changed, and most people are still playing by the old playbook. I'm Nadav, professor at the top business school. I've trained thousands of MBAs and executives, and today I'm going to show you exactly what employers are seeing, what they actually want now, and how you need to compete in this new AI-saturated job market. So stick around till the end, because if you don't adapt to this, you're not just going to struggle, you're going to become economically irrelevant. Let's dive in. So the starting point is to take a moment to understand the employer's side of things. The fact that AI makes applying for jobs much easier creates a big problem for employers because it makes their old hiring processes basically obsolete. Resumes, cover letters, even the minimal effort of just applying to a job can be delegated to AI. See, employers used to rely on a straightforward system. That system was called costly signals. Costly signal is some kind of a message that you send to another person to tell them that they should trust you, and that message is expensive to fake. The other person then knows that if you have the resources and are willing to spend the resources to send this message, then you are very likely to make good on your promise. Now, costly signals are actually everywhere. For example, male peacocks have enormous tails, which makes it really hard for them to run away from predators. But that's the costly part of the signaling that if you were a male peacock, you would want to send to a female peacock to tell her that you have good genes that she should mate with. Now, we humans, we buy expensive cars, we buy luxury watches, art, or homes that are far beyond our functional needs. These are signals of wealth and status because only those with real resources can afford them, and we want to signal that to other people. Now, all of these signals are hard to fake, and so they give us the peace of mind to know that if somebody bothered to use them, we can be reasonably sure that they are what they say they are. Now, that used to be the same thing with job applications because writing a great cover letter used to be a valuable skill that would tell you about other skills that you have for the job. But with AI, that's not the case anymore. When applying for jobs comes close to costing nothing for the candidates, the system that employers relied on breaks down. Now, that means a few things. First, it means massive applications and recruiter overload. It's not uncommon for job postings today to get thousands and sometimes tens of thousands of applications, many of them from unqualified or only marginally interested candidates. Recruiters are describing it as drinking from a fire hose. The screening time and the costs rise sharply, and that leads to more and more ghosting from the employer side, slower hiring, and just fatigue for everybody. The result is that employers, even if they don't want to, they have to rely on AI to screen candidates. That's the only workable solution, but it also reduces the human element in judgment and raises the risk of false negatives, which means that good candidates get rejected, and also false positive that bad fits gets hired. The third implication is that the advent of AI creates suspicion between employers and job candidates. The first thing that employers now assume is that anything written by the candidate was done by AI either completely or partially, unless shown otherwise. The overall effect is that the matching between employers and candidates actually becomes less effective. Employers have a much harder time selecting the best candidates for their job openings. So now that we considered the employer side of the equation, let's turn back to our side as employees. What should we do to improve our chances to succeed in this crazy job market? So first, we have to help employers with this problem of verifying whether we have the right skills and the right motivation to succeed in the role that we're applying for. In a way, that's always been our goal as candidates, but how we do it changes a lot due to AI, and the importance that we do it rather than wait for the employers to do it really increases in the age of AI. That means that we have to look for ways for us to again be able to send costly signals to employers. We have to pre-verify our skills and our motivation. And how we do that depends to some extent on our industry, but the principles are basically the same across industries. For example, we can build and showcase a public portfolio of real work. For example, we might be software engineers, and so we would program pro bono some code that solves a problem for somebody. We would maintain an active GitHub profile with well-documented repositories, including open source projects and codes and readmes that would explain our thought processes and results. Alternatively, we might be UX engineers, and so we would offer to help a business design and optimize a website for free. We again would showcase our work and its outcomes for future employers. If we're doing any kind of artistic or creative work like writing or graphic design, we would want to build a portfolio of those assets as well. The point is to create excellent work ahead of time that actually solves a problem for somebody so that a future employer can review it. This is a costly signal because it's hard to fake. This is actually work that we did that actually solved a problem in the world. This is something that AI can't create on its own. We can use AI to do our work, but it's pretty clear to the employer that we're the ones who were leading it. Second, we can use skill verification tech, which is a growing niche in this AI world, to show our skills. We can proactively take and share third-party tests that employers trust. There are platforms like CodeSignal, LeetCode, HackerRank, and others that are emerging as a market response to the problems that AI is creating in job applications. These websites have verifiable tests, contests, rankings, certificates, and their incentive is to continue to improve the verification and reliability. There are also industry-recognized certifications like AWS, Google Cloud, and there are even verifications about how you use AI for your work, ironically. Some tools are now assessing how you prompt AI and use it to improve your workflows. Now, with many of these verification systems, you can share links and badges directly on your LinkedIn profile or other social media. You can link it in your resume or on your website so that employers can have a quick access to those signals. Third, we can create work samples that are specifically tailored to the jobs that we're applying for, especially if that's our dream job, the job that we really, really want to get. So in this situation, we can actually use AI to provide valuable work for our employer, and that would reduce the suspicion that the employer thinks that we're using AI to fake our application. If you truly know your dream employer, you can use a bit of your time to help them as part of your application. For example, you can create a sample marketing plan for them, or a code snippet solving a common problem that they're facing, or a financial model, or a design prototype. Whatever it is that you think they need help with, that you can help, you can do. And as a bonus, you can actually use AI to do that. But this will be part of your application. It would show that you're motivated enough to get to know the specific problems and goals that the role you're applying for is supposed to solve. It would also show that you're competent enough to provide a first draft of a solution and hopefully lead to a very good conversation during the interview. Fourth, the old ways, and I'm talking the very old ways, the OG ways of getting jobs are coming back big time. So we're talking about referrals, connections, networks, testimonials, just general social are more important than ever. These are called reputation signals, and they're among the hardest signals to fake at scale. That's why networking, going to industry events, meeting people, and generally being socially active in your professional community is key. You can even, for example, set up or found a professional community and lead it to help other people connect while reaping the rewards of being known to everybody as a leader in your field. Remember, somebody who recommends you has their own reputation on the line. If you suck, they will be blamed. That's why it's still a costly signal to be referred by somebody else. Now, building your network is an ongoing process always, and you should always do it little by little, because the timing of when you benefit from your network is never known in advance. A connection of a connection knows somebody who paves the path for a great job. But if you keep building and cultivating your network, these lucky opportunities will happen more and more often. If you do these things, you will stand a much better chance to survive and even thrive in the age of AI. Now that you understand the other side of the equation, what the employers are having to face because of AI, hopefully you have some empathy for them. But also you understand exactly why these things are valuable to do. Now, if this was helpful, please like and subscribe and share to help other job seekers succeed in this crazy AI age. Best of luck, and I'll see you in the next one.